Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. Today we will be recording episode 47, talking about some various superstitions in different countries and cultures. And our goal with our episode today is to help you save yourself from any embarrassing or moments that might bring you bad luck in other cultures. So we hope to help you out here, and I think it will be an exciting episode. Without further ado, I bring you my awesome co-host, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. I laugh, Chad, because this is not about embarrassment. This is life or death situations here.
That's true.
95% of these superstitions involve or else you're going to die.
That or your family member is going to die. So
Right.
You're right.
Someone's dying.
Right.
This is not about some simple, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. It's like, oh, well, now mom and dad's dead. Sorry about that. I didn't tuck my thumbs in as I walked past that cemetery.
Exactly. Maybe you stepped on some cracks.
Speaking of superstition, the other day I was driving home from work, and so it's all through this. It's all essentially through kind of the city, essentially. Not through like the center city, but it's in like city driving. And if you time it right down this one street that I go down, I take this street for like Second Street for a good part of my drive. Mm-hmm. And if you time it right, you can hit the lights pretty well. And so I was hitting the lights pretty well, and I was going for a bit, and I noticed this car next to me that was going past me, going at a pretty good clip. And people always drive fast on that street, though, so I didn't really think too much of it. And we were going for a good bit down this road, because it's a long road through through Philadelphia. And this car's slightly in front of me, and I look up at this one intersection, and just next thing I know, I see this. It's green for us, and I see this Honda Civic coming the other way through the red light, like through the crossroad. Just not even slowing down, just casually going through. And I look, and you ever have that driving moment where it's like you're like everything almost slows down, and you're like thinking about a bunch of things at once. You're like, that Honda Civic should not be there. And it's like, wait, one of us is gonna hit this car. And next thing I know, like I'm thinking all this stuff, and next thing I know, this it was like an Audi station wagon just T-bones this Honda Civic perfectly.
Oh,
like when I say perfectly, I mean because it's city streets, you couldn't even they couldn't even see it. Like there was no time to slow down. It was just perfect timing into the side, and it was shocking to witness. And obviously I slammed on my brakes and I avoided it and I was fine. But I was like, don't worry, everyone. My car's fine. I'm fine. Everything's okay. Anyway, back to this T-bone. No. And so it was just shocking to witness because it was
the other people all right.
I didn't even see, to be honest with you, I don't even know where the person in the Honda Civic was, because the person in the Audi, I believe they might have been jarred a little bit, and maybe soreness. This is all just conjecture. But,
right.
Sorry, I needed... But I got ambitious before this episode, started fucking with my sound, with my mixer. That was a big mistake. Anyway. And so the person in the... So it showed just safety improvements over time, because this Audi was maybe like a 2012, pretty new car. And the front was banged up pretty bad, but, the airbags deployed, and they was still, the shape was still retained of the car. This Honda Civic, the one that got hit squarely, was just like, it looked like a tin can. Because it was like a 90, it was like a Honda Civic from the 90s. It just got destroyed. And that is the person I would have been worried about, because it was the driver's side door that got hit. So, but I didn't see the person. But luckily, I didn't stay around for too long, because luckily, as literally a fire truck was going by as like in the cross section as it happened, and just pulled over, and obviously, did fireman stuff.
Right. Nice. Well, I hope those people are all right. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I did too. But it was, and so that was like 5 minutes from my apartment, and for the rest of the drive home, I was like hyper cautious, like at every green light, like slowing down and looking, like okay, right. Okay. And it just made all week, because this happened actually on Monday, but all week I've just as I drive home, I'm just more hyper aware, because I just it just makes you think that because that could, if that Audi wasn't there, it would have been me, because the way it was just like, man, like no matter how like no matter what you do to like you, it's just that was unavoidable, and it just makes you think sometimes when you're driving, or it's like sometimes you like shit just happens and there's literally nothing you can do about it. Well, the Honda Civic could have done something about it. Obviously, they ran a red light, but like for the person in the Audi or me who it could have been, there's like there's nothing I can do at this point. You just have to slam into this car.
Right. Yeah, that's what happened to me a few years ago when you came to visit in East Lansing. We went to go play soccer. Remember, I got in a car accident.
Oh, right.
That Friday.
Right.
And I was getting off the exit to go to where my apartment was. So I was maybe, I don't know, 5 miles from my apartment, not even that far. And I go to get over, and the guy in front of me slammed on his brakes because there was like a pile up at the like off the exit ramp.
Right.
And I ended up like skidding and hit him. And that whole time I was skidding, I was like, I'm dead. Like, well, it's been a good run. Yeah, and time, like, it froze a little bit, and I weighed my options because I could have swerved, but, like, there was a huge drop-off, like, down a hill with a bunch of trees.
Right.
And I was like, and, you know, even though time seems like it goes slow, then you only have milliseconds to react.
Right, yeah, this is happening in the matter of 2 to 3 seconds, like, the slamming on the brakes. And in that time, you're like, should I swerve? And I was like, no, then I'm going to go into a ditch, and who knows what's going to happen there? Like, this person's just going to have to take it. Yeah, right. And it's like, and then also in that moment, there's like a little bit of like, God damn it. I'm about to get in an accident.
Yep, and that'll shake you up for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I still, whenever I'm in a car and a car in front of me, like, hits their brakes a little hard, I always, like, tighten up and, like...
Dude, the worst, I think even worse than that, because I usually have confidence in my braking, you know, when that happens. Although I will say I did peek on my phone the other day and had to slam on my brakes, and I felt like a fucking idiot. But it was like in a stop-and-go situation. I was rolling. It was so dumb. But anyway, the worst for me is when you slam on the brakes in enough time, and then you look in your rearview mirror, just hoping the person behind you, like seeing the person behind you also slamming on the brakes, like, please, one, react quick enough, and please tell me your car brakes well enough not to hit me. And you're just watching like, please don't. It's like, okay, good.
Right.
You didn't hit me.
Right.
That's always the worst for me, because then at that point, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right, for sure.
I saw that happen to me the other day, and luckily they like swerved around, but I was just like, oh my God. Because like I had no time to move because I was inches away from the car in front of me.
Right.
And I was like, oh, please.
City driving's got to be pretty crazy in Philly, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've driven in a couple cities. I've driven in New York. I've driven in Chicago. I've driven in Philadelphia. What other big cities? I mean, those are the 3 big ones I would say in the U.S. And Chicago and New York are different level. Right. I'd say that Philadelphia, in comparison to those two, is a little bit more chill. But it still turns you into it. Like, you know, I'm from the Midwest, where it's just mostly open roads. I'm not saying there aren't aggressive drivers there, but like, it's just easier when there's more open roads, less stop and go, and less, you know, tighter streets and all that stuff. So yeah, it turns you to a slightly more aggressive driver. But I would say that it's not on the same level as Chicago or New York, where it's like it's just no respect for anyone else. It's just you do what you do to move around. Like, there's still some etiquette when driving. People let people in sometimes in Philadelphia. You know, right. It's not just like you got to do what you got. Like, you got to force yourself into every situation. It's not like that.
Okay, good to know. I've driven in Chicago a few times, and yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. It's stressful. New York is terrible too. I mean, and New York's even worse for me because I at least kind of know Chicago because I've been there more. So New York is just a freaking shit show. But yeah, I don't know why I insist on driving to New York. I think it's just because I don't know. I just always insist on driving if I can. I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. I've had a very traumatizing week. No, I'm kidding. This story is not traumatizing at all. It's not even a story. I actually really want to ask you this as someone that's been in taking music lessons essentially all your life, I would assume. So Christmas is approaching, and my piano teacher has been giving me Christmas songs. Damn it! Okay. I meant to bring down my my binder with all the Christmas music because I'm trying to think of exactly how many Christmas songs I have, but she keeps on giving me more and more stuff, and and at this point, no exaggeration, I have anywhere from 4 to 6 Christmas songs that she's given me within the past couple of weeks. Christmas is in a month. I don't know how to tell her. It's like I like your enthusiasm, but there's no way I can learn all these songs in a month. And so like, you know, we have lessons once a week, and she'll be like, like, how many songs did you practice? And I'm like, I practiced this song and this song. She's like, did you get to this song? And I was like, I mean, I just don't have enough time. Like, if I want to give all of them all of them adequate practice time, I just don't have time to do like this many songs in a week. Plus keeping up with my scales, because I have to do scales every week, and then these little like I do exercise books, but I kind of put those to the side when I'm learning songs like this. But I still do scales in this one exercise book that's like hand exercise stuff every week, and it's just like I'm gonna be spending like 5 minutes on everything if I do like every single song that you, and it's just like I don't know how to tell her like you need to chill on the songs.
Right. Well, I had a month away.
I can't do it.
Well, now it's only what 24 days away,
exactly.
My dude.
And she's stressing me out I was like, this is for me. Who am I? I'm not even playing for anyone except for, and if I am, it'll be for some retirement home. But still, it's like, now you're stressing me out, and this is my thing. I like, what?
Right.
And I'm happy to learn Christmas songs. I love learning songs, and some of them I love, but it's just so many songs. And she's doing it because she knows I love learning songs too. That's why I also kind of struggle to tell her to slow down. Because it's like I can see the enthusiasm in her face.
Right. Well, you might just want to say, I would give her realistic. If you want, some students don't tell their teachers their practice routines. I think you should, even if you're slacking a little bit on your practice routines, because I've been there too. But yeah, I mean, I would just tell her you're
hard to bring up. Like, hey, listen, I have a podcast. Like, right. I got other things I got to do here.
Right. Well, you can just say you're really busy and be like, which song should I prioritize? That might be a good way where she realizes, oh, he's busy.
Right.
I probably shouldn't give him any more Christmas songs. I'm also learning some Christmas stuff on guitar as well. Every year, it's funny. End of November, beginning of December, I'm like always going, all right, I'm going to learn all these Christmas songs. This is going to be great. And then like by the 15th of December, like I have like maybe 2 under my belt and I'm like, okay, I'm done with it.
Yeah, no.
I'm done with this.
Well, that's another thing. My piano teacher is recommending I buy this one like book of this. And it seemed like a good book for like Christmas songs, but I don't know how to tell her. It's like, I'm not that into Christmas. Like right. She's like kind of a religious lady. It's like, how am I going to break
so
this?
She must love Christmas.
She does love Christmas. She also invited me to her church won I think it's either Pennsylvania or maybe it's a more local award, but they won some sort of award for the best light show, like Christmas light show, and like at their church. And she pulled it up online. I mean, it's intense. It's even like I knew that they deserved to win. She showed me a video of it on their website. I was like, just the production of this video alone. I was like, who made this? James Cameron? I was like, what kind of budget you guys got on this? Like, there were drone shots and like
what? That's crazy.
Oh, for sure. It was insane, bro. Like, it was well produced. And like great music in the background. I was like, damn. It's like just this video alone. But yeah, it was and so like she loves Christmas. I was like, I don't even know how to break it to you. It's like, listen, it's like after Christmas is over, I'm happy dropping all these Christmas songs and going back to learning some Liszt and Bach.
Right.
I was like, I don't care this much about Christmas. The only reason I really want to do this is to get away from my family when we go to my grandma's house for Christmas and just sit at the piano and play Christmas songs in the background, and people find it soothing and be like, "Oh wow, Jared!" And really, I'm just like, this is just so no one has to. I don't have to talk to anyone.
That's fair. I saw a hilarious video the other day of somebody posted it on Facebook. It was their boyfriend or their husband. And they were like, they asked him to play piano, and he's playing Piano Man. And it looks like all the family members are kind of like drunk or tipsy, and they're like singing it really loud and exuberantly. And then it zooms in on his face, and he's just like God help me, like, please save me. So I thought,
maybe that's
good.
One fear I should have. It's like, hey, like if people start making requests, it's like, listen,
right.
I know like 6 songs, if that. Have you not been? You clearly haven't been listening. That I've been cycling through the same 3 songs for the past 4.5 hours.
Right, exactly. But I think you have the right idea that you should just get down a certain number of them, because my problem is sometimes I'm so excited to learn a bunch of new music, I just try to learn too much at once, and it's better to learn in small chunks and actually be able to play 3 pieces really well than 6 pieces really bad.
That's what I'm afraid of. is that I'm gonna spend not spend enough time on any of them, and then only kind of know all of them rather than know two of them really well, or or two or three of them really well, and
Right.
and that's and just learning, half learning or partially learning 4 or 5 songs almost does nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like there's no
Right.
satisfaction in that.
Mm-hmm.
And because
Right.
I don't want to. Also, because I don't want to keep learning it after Christmas. I barely want to learn it during Christmas. So it's like,
Sure.
but I do like learning some songs. Like for example, I learned "Amazing Grace" a while ago. That's a good song to have in your back pocket
nice.
at all
For
times.
sure.
It's easy. That's a good one to have. I don't remember it, but I need to refresh that one.
That is
Anyway.
a good one.
You didn't.
I would also suggest one other thing about Christmas too that might be easy for you is also just see if you can find like some chord charts for like jazz versions of Christmas songs. That might
Right.
be cool and easy to learn.
Yeah. Then you're just more riffing on the chord progression or whatever.
Exactly. But yeah, what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I had. What day is it? I was saying how's your weekend, but it's how's teaching been? I feel like I haven't heard about those weird kids. They're not weird. I don't know why I said weird. No one ever called you. I take it back only because I know some of them listen, and Chad never called you guys weird. That's me.
No, they're
calling you
good.
weird.
They're good kids. Teaching's been going well. Last week we did some Thanksgiving themed lessons, so that was good.
How much do Czech people know about Thanksgiving?
Well, before I had educated and enlightened my students, they knew that we ate turkey.
Yeah.
A lot of them thought it fell on the final Thursday in November, which
Yeah,
is
me
understandable. Yeah, it's understandable. And
Yeah,
then that's about it. They don't know about the historical significance. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the podcast or not, but you know that Abraham Lincoln was the one that actually
Yeah, you did.
started. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So I talked to them about that.
Did you
and it was
mention the Pilgrims and the Native Americans' friendly relationship?
I did, and
Okay.
in some of the classes, I also talked about King Philip's War.
I don't even know about that. I've never heard of that.
So King Philip's War. Let me educate you, Jared.
Yeah.
King Philip's War was the son of Massasoit. So Massasoit was the original chief of the Wampanoag tribe that helped out the Pilgrims, and so there were a lot of rising tensions between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans over time. And then after Massasoit passed away, and his son, I don't remember his Native American name, but the Pilgrims called him King Philip, or Chief Philip, got in a war with the Pilgrims, I think about 45 years after the first Thanksgiving feast in 1621. And of course, the war ended up, wiping out the majority of the Wampanoag tribe and other surrounding tribes. It wasn't a happy... festive relationship like they teach us in elementary school.
When I hear King Philip, I was for some reason expecting I don't know. That's actually exactly what I was expecting, but it's always like, oh yeah, that is what happened.
Yeah. So, but we talked about that a little bit. I also had to show them Thanksgiving food. I told some of them about the fried turkey, and they were not impressed. They a lot of them made faces of disgust. Like when I was like, yeah, some people eat fried turkey. They were like, ew, fried turkey.
Yeah,
What?
I don't. Their opinion means nothing to me. They know nothing about Thanksgiving. Like, okay, when's the last time they had a fried turkey? I'm not gonna listen to someone that's not even had it.
Right. Don't knock it till you try it.
And also, let me clarify. Turkey's by far not one of the lower meats on my list of meats. Like, it's not even one of my favorite meats. It's just the meat that you're forced to eat. And if I'm gonna eat a turkey on Thanksgiving, because that's what we do, I'd rather it be fried than just a standard oven. Even though my dad knows how to cook. He does it as well as you can. It's not dry and shit. I still rather have the fried if that's an option. As far as
yeah, I
turkey
really
goes.
want to try fried turkey.
But I'm not just
I
gonna
feel like
buy a
it'd be
turkey on a
delicious.
random Wednesday and fry it up in my backyard. I don't live in Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so we talked about Thanksgiving, and that was good. And usually I just teach with PowerPoints because I don't want to print off a bunch of paper. And, I just have the students write in their notebooks because I feel like that's definitely a lot more environmentally friendly. But for these activities, I printed off some handouts. And you should have seen the look on the students' faces because it's one of the first times I've brought like paper handouts. A few students like had this look of fear, like, "Oh no, are we getting a test today?" And so after they asked me that, right after they asked me that was on I think Tuesday or Wednesday. The other classes I taught the Thanksgiving lesson, I walked in and I go, "All right, are you guys ready for your test?" And some of them realized I was joking. Others like looked terrified, which made it even funnier when I was like, "I'm just kidding. Like it's just a simple like true false little questionnaire."
By the way, that would be a fun episode: tests and exams.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Have you ever given a pop quiz?
Actually, I have not. Okay. Not yet.
Would you? I don't see you as the pop quiz kind of guy.
I think it depends on the cast. What?
Are pop quizzes antiquated?
Not really. No. Okay. I feel like first of all, the fact that you're causing your students so much anxiety already puts them in like a bad place to succeed.
I've had teachers that seem to enjoy that sort of like, oh no, like that fear that puts into students.
Right. One thing I think would be hilarious that I would love to do one day,
Mr. Ambrose, I'm talking about you.
I'd like to give students I'd like to give them two versions of a test. One of them's all C. One of them's like ABC, ABC, ABC.
That's terrible.
That would be pretty funny. But yeah, we should do an episode about tests and quizzes. That would be good.
I had a teacher that he gave us a in class. It was AP English. This is Mr. Ambrose, and he gave us an in class sort of essay situation thing to do on like one of the first days. Maybe not the first day. And he left the class. Oh, it was a test of some sort. He left the classroom and just walked out casually, and we kept taking the test. And like 30 minutes later, one of us randomly looked behind us, and he was on the fire escape, looking in the window, watching us, looking to see if anyone was cheating.
That's awesome.
Now, luckily, we had heard from older students that he does that, so don't fuck around on that first test. So we knew, even if someone was going to cheat, they knew not to. But it was just so ridiculous to witness.
That's so extra.
A man in his 40s standing on a fire escape, like with his hands up to the window. We're on the second floor, by the way. This is
oh damn!
Yeah, wow. You had to climb up.
I saw this picture online of this kid taking a test, and his teacher left the classroom, and then one of the tiles on the ceiling came out. And the teacher was looking down at the students, and she made eye contact with him right after he was cheating on somebody's paper. Yeah, yeah.
Wait, but that seems way more dangerous. Only because
sure.
I've seen The Office. I've seen like when they go up there, and then they just immediately fall down.
Exactly.
Or like when remember that episode of The Office when the building's on fire, like when there's the fire drill, and I don't remember her name, but the small blonde-haired one throws her cat up. And it falls
Angela.
out. Yeah, Angela. And it falls out on the other side of the office or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a hilarious show. I was actually showing some students in one of my extracurricular clubs. We were watching highlights of Jim and Dwight's pranks on The Office, and they were cracking up.
With the the
classic.
Legendary... what is it? Jello. Oh yeah, the stapler of the Jello. That was the original.
That's a good one.
It?
I like the one where he wraps all of his desk and everything in Christmas wrap, but like his chair is like unscrewed, and he walks in, he goes to sit down, and the chair falls apart, and then everything else falls.
I like one of my favorites was when he trained him with the mints.
Yeah, that was good too. Or the one where he complains to Michael because he hit his head with his phone, and then Jim was like, "Yeah, I kept putting nickels in his headset, and once he got used to the weight, I took them all out." That's just so good.
No, I don't remember that one. That's hilarious.
There are a lot of good ones, that's for sure. But yeah, do you have any snow in Philly by chance?
No, we did get, they talked, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there was the way snow seems to happen a lot here in Philadelphia is not like Michigan. Michigan, once winter starts, it's there just until about March. It's just there.
It's there. Yeah,
Snows might not always be on the ground, but winter is always looming from essentially December to March. In Philadelphia, it's not really like that. Like, there's more like, yeah, it might snow lightly from time to time. That'll happen. but it's more of these like it snows, and then it kind of messes with the street for a couple hours, and then it usually because the weather tends to hover around the 30s.
Okay.
So it's never fully cold enough to have anything sticking for like days or anything like that. Like I remember when I first got here, the first maybe year or two that I got here, we had a legitimate snowstorm, and like to the point where it was like like a foot, and then the streets were messed up for like a good bit. But that's just because they terrible at plowing the streets, and it was like it snowed one day for like a lot. Okay. And but yeah, so it's never really it's never really that big of a problem here. So like it might be annoying or like mess up a drive for a day, but then usually by the next morning it's fine.
Oh, nice. Okay, interesting. Yeah, here we actually have some snow, and it is definitely beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh yeah, you're getting into the winter spirit.
Yep. But today I had a choir concert this morning, and
right.
It was. Yeah, and it was literally ice. So I walked out, and you could have practically ice skated out of my apartment, like to the church
Slipping
I went
on
to.
gator piss.
Yeah, and so I had my sheet music in this like black folder because I don't have it all memorized, and half of it I don't think I'll ever be able to memorize because it's it's all
Not
in
with
Czech.
that attitude.
Right, that's true too. And I almost fell and just dropped all my sheet music. Thankfully, I don't know, maybe years of skateboarding and playing hockey have helped me with my balance. But
why is that so enjoyable to watch, though? I mean, it's one of the most embarrassing things to happen to a person, but also it's so hilarious to watch. And whenever I watch someone slip, I feel bad for them, and I'm not laughing at like I'm laughing with them, even though they're not laughing. You know what I mean? like I do. I always feel bad for them. There's always empathy. Like, oh, that could be anyone. I'm not like, oh, what an idiot. But but it's always so funny to watch that kind of save move where you do that ice skate, and it's always so funny to watch.
Yep.
And there's always
just the look on people's faces too.
Yes, yeah, that like fear and helplessness. Fear and helplessness in a human is hilarious. Is essentially what I'm getting at.
Right.
There is that one spot in front of Wesley. Where you cross the street by the church,
yes,
where people would like you have to like kind of step over it because there's just this always solid ice patch there, and it was you just know to watch people there.
Yep, I remember that freshman year of college. That's
man,
true.
I don't remember anything about most of my classes, but I remember that one spot.
Priorities. And
I remember watching some great falls. Woo!
Right. But yeah, but the concert went well, and what was really cool is we got to go see.
Was it Christmas songs?
Christmas songs and some other like more church type music.
Yeah, hymnal.
Exactly. But it was good. We were worried that no one would show up because it was at 10 a.m. and the weather has been just like cold and icy.
Right.
But by the end of it, there were probably about 20 people there, so not too bad.
Where was it at? Was that a church?
St. Catherine's Church here in Chomutov. And I tell you what, dude, the acoustics were amazing.
I was just about to say you should record the podcast at that church.
I'm really mad. I was actually going to leave my phone on like one of they have like a kind of like a sill around the church, like a windowsill. I was going to leave it there and record it, and like it all happened so fast I didn't have time.
That would have been great. Dude, that would have gotten all the hits on Insta.
Right. But yeah, it was really good, though. I've actually been thinking in the spring when it warms up, take an acoustic guitar in there and try to record some guitar music because the acoustics are just amazing. Because the entire church, it's this old church and they don't use it anymore, so it's completely empty. Right. There's no pews. There's no altar. It's empty.
So you could record the podcast there. You could just show up and do it.
I could. Well, there's not going to be Wi-Fi in there, I don't think.
Oh, that's a good point, man.
Otherwise, yeah. Yeah. Dude, it was cool.
I listened to a podcast the other day where they were like on the road watching. I believe it was an active volcano, and they were. It was like podcasting from there. Because if you have like a Zoom recorder, then you can just plug your microphone in there and do it that way.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was the coolest thing to hear that. Like you could kind of hear noises in the background, like from it, like in the wind. Even just like hearing the wind in the background was so cool. It's like, oh, he's like standing there explaining what he's seeing at that exact moment. I thought that was so cool.
That's pretty crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after the concert, we went in to this really cool exhibit in the museum at the like the city hall or town hall, and they had an exhibition for Christmas in Africa. So it turns out the guy that used to be
Were
the
there
director...
Czechs wearing blackface?
No. Thankfully, no. Seems like they have enough cultural awareness that they wouldn't do that.
I mean, isn't it Germany or Spain or something that they have some holiday that they wear blackface on?
Wasn't it? I thought it was the Netherlands.
Oh, maybe. It's one of those European
I'm not
countries
sure,
has some
yeah.
blackface holiday.
Could be. Well, never mind.
Anyway, just get back to the Czech.
Yeah.
We're turning a nice thing into a...
Right. So the guy who used to be the director of the zoo here in Chomutov now works at the biggest zoo in the Czech Republic that has it's like an animal sanctuary, and I believe they also have the highest number of African animals there as well. And so he travels to Africa a lot to learn about these animals and do other things, right? And so every time he goes, he always gets different, artifacts and stuff. And he did some interviews, and they had a couple posters up. But what was the coolest was they had a picture of the continent of Africa and how they say Merry Christmas in all these different countries. And so I snapped a picture of it. I'll send it your way. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
And so it was cool.
You know what I also think about that? I haven't even seen the picture, and what I love about that is that they're still not showing like a large number of the ways that people are saying, just because there's so many languages there.
Right.
I actually heard that because all humans sort of originated. I just heard this yesterday on some podcast because all humans originated from Africa. Still to this day, there's more like diversity in human beings and genetics and all that stuff in Africa than there is between, like, say, an Asian and a person from Norway or something like that. Like, if you like, it can vary. Not obviously just because it's so huge, and two, because it's in just the way that it spreads. There's less spreading happening where it. I don't know how they explain.
Right.
Just listen to the episode. Listen to a scientist explain it. But I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of genetic diversity and.
Right.
Still more than any.
And to all of our geographically challenged listeners out there, I'm talking to most of our American listeners. Africa is a continent.
Did I say
not
country?
A country? No, I don't think you did. But I'm just saying that because I've heard Americans say, the country of Africa, and it always makes me cringe.
And it's so funny too. It's the ignorance just shows you. It's not even just the ignorance of saying country, though. It's like you don't even realize how big Africa is.
Right.
It's like Africa.
Huge.
Yeah. It's. Like America is like a small little like section within Africa, and it's like it's so funny to call it a country when it's bigger than most anything.
Right.
Is it the biggest continent? It's not the biggest continent, is it?
No, I think Eastern Asia is like where Russia is, isn't it?
Oh man,
I thought by landmass, I thought Eastern Asia or Asia was the biggest continent, but I could be wrong.
My geography has gotten weak over the years. I was very good at geography in 6th grade.
Nice.
Asia is the biggest continent.
Yep.
Then the Americas, which includes North and South America.
Okay.
And then Africa.
Right.
And then North America, and then South America, and then Antarctica. There you go.
Interesting. Nice. But it's also really cool. So that Christmas museum was really nice. And now they're setting up the Christmas markets and all their Christmas decorations here in Chomutov. So to all our listeners out there, keep your eyes and ears out for our next episode, which will be focused on Christmas markets in Europe.
Yeah,
so I think
I've already learned a lot about that I didn't realize. But hey, tune in next time to find out.
That's right. That's right. Well, Jared, I think it's time for some shout-outs. What do you think?
I think so too. I have one. Can I start off?
Absolutely. Feel free.
Now, this is a sad moment, and I would like to say R.I.P. to a legend, Steven Hillenburg.
Yep.
Who is the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, head writer, creator. He created the whole thing, and he wrote in it for the first couple seasons heavily. He passed away at 57 after battling ALS. Mm-hmm. I did not know he had, obviously, I didn't know anything about him.
Right.
This is what I found interesting. One, I don't usually when I hear celebrity pass away, like for example, George W. Bush Senior passed away today. Whatever. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't really care. But anyway, I do care about Steven Hillenburg. I didn't know anything about him because I watched SpongeBob as all throughout my childhood, but I never stayed to watch the credits and pay attention to the credits as a 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old. But when I heard that he passed away, it kind of shook me up for a second. I was like, oh man, and I was just immediately like, this dude is a full-on legend. Like he changed the cartoon game.
Oh, for sure.
And I still, I don't really watch SpongeBob anymore, but that's only because I don't watch anything anymore. But even like when I was in college, I would easily watch SpongeBob and laugh like just as if I was like a kid. It was such a good show, and it premiered in 1999, and it's the show is now in its 12th season, and it's been translated. How many languages do you think it's been translated to around the world?
That's a great question.
Steven Hillenburg is not only a legend in the cartoon game, but he is a legend in the polyglot cartoon game.
Right. I would say at least over 30 languages.
You're right. It is over 30 languages. Double
How many
that.
Exactly? 60? Over 60?
Yep, more than 60 languages.
Okay. There's a really funny clip on YouTube. I'll see if I can find it. It's the when SpongeBob is going stepping on the beach, blue, 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 right?
Stepping on the beach, of course, yeah.
And they have that in like a bunch of different languages, and it's hilarious to listen to it. And I'll see. Let me see if I can find it. I'll put it on our Facebook page when this episode drops.
I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she said that she is legitimately scared of butterflies today. She thinks some of it has to do with that SpongeBob episode. Where Sandy has a butterfly and all the SpongeBob and Patrick and whatnot are terrified by it and think it's like an alien.
That makes sense. Yeah.
She said she actually went to one of those, like those butterfly kind of sanctuary places where she said she went to one of those places with like her mom and sister and they're like, hey, you want to come in? She's like, not really.
Right. There are just so many golden moments from SpongeBob.
Oh, I know. I mean, we could have this has nothing to do with our podcast really, but we could literally have multiple episodes just about SpongeBob.
Oh,
definitely. The Flying Dutchman in itself, just that whole when they had to work for the Flying Dutchman, that episode is so good to me. Where it's like, you're good, and they're just like driving.
Yeah, yeah, that one is really good. They crash the ship. Yeah. And isn't that the one where Patrick goes to lee?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that show was it brought so much light and happiness into so many people's lives.
My parents fucking hated that show. No, more my dad.
I'm pretty sure,
my dad more than my mom. My mom didn't really seem to care, but my dad hated that show.
My sister doesn't let my niece watch it.
I don't think, but I think it's kind of like up there as far as like impact. I'm almost scared to say this, but like Simpsons and South Park and also like as far as like comedy goes, I think there's something to like you're kind of taking away. This might sound like too much, but I think you're kind of taking away art from kids in a sense by not letting them watch this. Where it's like, yeah, there might be some things that you might find quote unquote offensive, but there's actually legitimate like artistry to writing these jokes and also just writing like the art of making the cartoon of it. Right. And
for sure.
and like for example, when there was some RIP thing that I saw on Twitter or something, and like I started paying more like closer attention to like the backgrounds they used when they had like songs and stuff and all that, and just like the amount of depth and thought you have to put in all that stuff. It's like that's like legit art that you're keeping away from people.
Sure.
And yeah, it's silly and it's kind of goofy, but there is like actual comedy. And like there is some talent that has to go behind that I think can be recognized, and I think it's foolish to keep that away from kids. But I'm not shitting on your parents or my parents because I also kind of get it as people that didn't grow up with it. Like as people that are so removed from that, I kind of get it, I guess.
Right.
But I'm happy I got to grow up with it, and we grew up in the perfect time where it's like infused into us.
That's true. I remember coming home from school and watching a couple episodes every day almost.
It was always on. And it was, I never got sick of that show. And no matter, like, there was like Fairly Odd Parents was great. Doug and Hey Arnold and Rocket Power. And all these great shows, but SpongeBob was always like the Cadillac of it. It was always the Cadillac. Like I loved so many cartoons, but SpongeBob was number one always.
Oh, you couldn't beat it.
No.
You really couldn't.
It was unbeatable.
The music was great.
Yes.
I read online today that there's a group of people that signed a petition to have them air Sweet Victory at this year's Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh. That
Which would
was
be
also
really
on Twitter.
awesome.
And I found myself singing along to just about all of it.
Yeah. And that's
But
the
even
thing,
like the background music, like the like even
Yeah.
just like that stuff, like it's stuck in your head.
Oh, the credits that music is great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh god.
And I mean, of course, the classic introduction song.
Oh yeah, who lives on a pineapple on an essay?
If anybody ever goes, you know somebody's going to go, who lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Oh, my
yeah,
gosh.
it just, oh, man, good memories.
So rip to a straight up legend. You know, he has changed the game forever as far as cartoons and comedies go. He stepped it up, and you know, I'm sorry for his family. And ALS is clearly no joke. He died at 57, which is too young in 2018. But you know, he did more than 95% of that us could only hope to do in this world, and his mark has been left. He's done more than enough to be a legend forever. So,
right.
shout out to him.
Shout out, for sure. My first shout out goes out to Stockholm, Sweden, where they have signs all near the public transportation where homeless people can go to heating rooms and nearest shelters to get them out of the cold, because it can get extremely cold in Sweden, and it can be a fatal situation for the thousands. Apparently, there are thousands of homeless people in Stockholm, which I did not know about. But when the temperatures drop below 7 degrees,
I think thousands might be less than you might think if you were to compare it to most comparable sized U.S. cities. I think
that's true.
It'd probably be tens of thousands if you were to go to a comparably population popularized city. Wow, that was way harder than it had to be.
Right, but yeah, so I think this is really great.
Yeah, that's great.
To offer these people shelter and heat so they can still survive.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look to have people dropping dead of hypothermia in the streets. Hypo, I believe. I believe hyper is hot.
Hyperthermia, yeah, hypo.
Yeah, I believe it's hypo. It's not a good look to have people dropping dead of hypothermia in the streets.
Right. Exactly.
Remember when we were at Albion and it was like it was record cold. And it was like in the negatives, and it was feeling like negative teens and 20s for multiple days. And everyone at school was complaining. And our school sent out a student-wide email that essentially just said, "Stop complaining," because I believe either Michigan State or Michigan closed, which they hadn't done.
Michigan State closed,
which they hadn't done since like the 1910s or something crazy. And everyone at Albion was complaining like they haven't closed in blah 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 50, 60 years, and why and they're like, and Albion literally sent an email saying, "Stop complaining. Your average no walk is longer than this amount of time across campus. The average walk across campus at U of M is blah blah blah, and it takes this long to get hypothermia. You have more than enough time if you don't dilly-dally walk into class."
Right. Yeah, and in some places,
Albion. It's like, I don't want to class either, but I respect it.
Yeah, throwing a little shade for sure. I mean, in Alaska, I know schools get canceled once it reaches, I think, below 60.
Wait,
it doesn't matter. In Alaska, if it gets below 60,
when it reaches below negative 60.
Yeah.
Because I was like below 60. I was like, that's a nice day.
Yeah, sorry, 60 is 60 degrees below zero. Yeah. So my next shout out, I actually have two for different countries now. So the first one was obviously Stockholm, Sweden. The next one, there is a Dutch church in The Hague that have been continuously doing a. Oh, is it Hague?
Well, that's I guess it's either Den Haag or The Hague. Hague is, I guess, how the Dutch would say it, but you wouldn't say The Hague, I guess, because the Dutch wouldn't say the. They'd say, isn't it Den Haag?
Whatever.
I'm sorry. I need to stop. I don't know. I'm talking so much.
I have no idea. Anyways,
I'm sorry.
In a place in the Netherlands. How about that? In a place in the Netherlands,
the capital of the Netherlands.
Right. A Dutch church has held services continuously since October to prevent an Armenian family's deportation. There's a law in the
It's
Netherlands
not the capital of the Netherlands. I
where
lied. That's Amsterdam. Sorry.
right. The law in the Netherlands is that the police officers cannot come and basically during any church service. So there's a family of Armenian refugees living there, and as I said, Dutch law forbids police from entering church premises while services are ongoing. So this continuous celebration began at 1:30 p.m. on October 26th, and this tactic was contrived to protect the Tamrazian family who fled Armenia 9 years ago after the father received death threats in response to his political activism. And so the family was given temporary asylum, but only permitted to remain in the country through the end of this year. Efforts to attain an emergency pardon available to families residing in the Netherlands for more than 5 years unfortunately failed. So this Protestant church is helping out this Armenian family, giving them rest and safety. And the church said that they respect the court orders, but they're confronted with a dilemma because it's the choice between respecting the government and protecting the rights of a child, because there are children in the family.
Yeah, but I guess I think I'd agree that they're probably making the right choice. Mm-hmm. Would you? I don't know.
I would too.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, that's why I gave them a shout out, and that was actually my last shout out of the pod. Yeah,
but that's a shout out to you guys. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
now, the church, the people that I don't know if you say work at the church or like the church. Mm-hmm. The clergy people that are at the church that are keeping refuge for this person, is that how could you say that, keeping refuge for this person?
Yeah, for these people, yeah.
Are they also in fear of being arrested once they leave the church as well?
That's a great question.
Or
I don't
are
have
they
the
just
answer.
are they just like, hey, we're just conducting service and they're just here? Is that how? Because that would be the legal loophole.
I would assume that would be how that would work.
Okay.
I mean, are they really going to arrest? I mean, in theory, are they really going to arrest people in church for doing church services?
That is ridiculous. I mean, it's like, what? Yeah. I mean, it always comes back to what is the police really here for and what crime are we actually committing?
Right. Exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, so those were my shout outs. So, shout out again to Stockholm, Sweden, and also Den Haag, Netherlands. I hope that's the way you say it.
I believe it's Den. I don't know how they do their articles over there. We could just Google it.
Right.
I just hate it is Den
true.
Haag. I just don't like being on my computer. I like to give you my undivided attention.
That's fair.
What time is it over there?
It is 5:28.
Okay, because I was say I was hoping to see sun in your face.
Nope. And it looked like something straight out of Game of Thrones here, my man. Like,
was it a foggy?
Yeah, it's just white fog and then white on the rooftops and ice on the streets and everything. So I've been cooped up in my apartment, deathly afraid of the White Walkers to make an appearance here.
I don't know much about Game of Thrones, but I always think of my first. I call my Untranslatable studio here, my Harry Potter closet, and that I always, whenever I see like a foggy thing like that, I think of like those Death Eater thingies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're like gonna lose your soul if you step outside.
For sure. Well, I dropped the ball and do not have any beers to review.
It's the morning for me, so I'm exempt.
Right, exactly. Falls on me. I'm hoping to go to the gym later, and I didn't put two and two together. So no beer review for this pod, but we'll have a tasty one for you next time. And I'm going to the grocery store later, so I'll grab a new one. But I think, do you happen to have the actual time, Jared? The most important time of the podcast.
Luckily,
there we go.
This Rolex is so advanced that I could even adjust for Chad's fuck-ups.
That's right. That's why they're so damn expensive. That's for sure. Well, Jared, how about you get us started?
Sure. My first one is Bhojpuri. Have you heard of Bhojpuri before?
No. Where do they speak
Me neither.
that?
It's Indo-Aryan, Aryan.
Okay.
Language spoken in the northeastern part of India and the Terai region of Nepal. So it's it's not a big language, but I like this Untranslatable. Oh, by the way, I was thinking before I get into this, We should probably explain. We should probably make a habit of explaining what the untranslatables are. We always just fly into them, like everyone knows what we're doing. I literally was going to bed the other day, and I was like, we should probably explain the untranslatables. It just came to me as I was just lying in bed.
No, you're right. That's a great idea.
So let's make a habit of actually explaining that. The untranslatables are idioms, sayings, slang terms that other countries, languages, cultures use. But Chad and I love that about, when we first started trying to figure out what podcast we wanted to do, we knew that we wanted it to involve something with languages. We knew that was going to have something to do with it.
For sure.
And and somehow we started talking about, well, I don't even know how it came, but we started talking about idioms and fun idioms that don't make any sense in English and that sound funny in English or mean something totally different in English. And so we like to find idioms and sayings from other languages around the world and try to guess what they are based off of their literal English translations that sometimes make perfect sense, sometimes make no sense at all. But they make sense to the people that actually say it, so it doesn't have to make sense for us English speakers anyway.
That's true. And I have to say, you always pick really good, unique ones that I always have a hard time guessing. I feel like your percentage of guessing the untranslatables right is way higher than mine.
I go deeper than you, I'll say that, but I'm always impressed at the fact that you just have the consistency of still finding new Czech ones. I don't think I could find that many of one language.
I have 2 new Czech ones for today as well. So.
So even though I find fun ones, you find fun ones too. Even the Czech ones are fun. I'm just so impressed that you can find that many in one language.
Right.
So yeah, my first one, as I said, is Bhojpuri, which is a small Indo-Aryan language spoken in northeastern parts of India and the Terai region of Nepal, and it's Apan Gand Hawaii Dused Ke Kad Dawai. And it's trying to cure someone else when you have an infected butthole.
Wait, can you repeat that one more time?
Alert to the children listening out there, I forgot. Trying to cure someone else when you have an infected butthole. So trying to cure someone else when you yourself have an infected butthole.
Yeah, I got it. So it's like I'm assuming this is trying to fix a problem when you already have problems or things you need to take care of first.
Exactly. Now, I can't think of it, and I was hoping you could, but what's like the English version of that? Because there is practice what you preach, but that's kind of the opposite. That's actually doing doing it. And this is the opposite, not doing it.
Do we have a phrase in English? I'm not sure we do.
We must. Hey, by the way, did I don't think I ever told people to follow us at the top of this episode.
You didn't, but I wasn't going to say anything.
I love how now I'm making a point. Like, we need to explain what our segments are about. I was like, I didn't even do the one thing that I'm supposed to do at the top of every episode.
It's all good. We can leave it to the end.
At Untranslatable 1 on Twitter. Follow us at the Untranslatable Podcast on Instagram. Or email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com, and explain to us the English untranslatable for trying to cure someone else when you have an infected butthole.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have a saying like that. Like,
I think we do, where it's like not the pot calling the kettle black, is it? Because that's like you're telling me.
I've never heard that before.
You never heard the pot calling the kettle black? That's a very popular
one.
No. Are you gonna type it in?
I can, sure.
Okay, I just thought you were. I was like, we don't both have to.
Pot telling the kettle black.
Yeah, calling, but they'll get it. It's smart enough.
Used to convey that the criticism a person is aiming at could equally well apply to themselves.
So yeah, I guess that will kind of be.
It's kind of like a taste. It's like getting a taste of your own medicine as well, though, kind of, isn't it?
Or it's like maybe it's like thou who cast the first stone, where it's like,
right.
How about you take care of your own issues before casting stones at someone else? Anyway,
right.
What's your untranslatable?
My first, both of them are Czech, but this one is mit o kolečko navíc, which means to have an extra cog or to have an extra wheel.
Okay. Is that like to be highly motivated?
No.
Is the opposite?
I would say this one's kind of negative. Like, he has an extra wheel.
He's an idiot?
Still
Third
not
wheel?
quite. Not what? Nope.
Kind of hanger on?
Still no. Let me try to give you an example, even though
Please.
you're the one with the world class examples.
No,
but,
no, come on. Stop selling yourself short.
So
This is the same with your Instagram pictures and not putting your face on them.
that's true. That's
You're selling
true.
yourself short.
That's true.
Dude, I was looking at that picture of the beer on our Instagram the other day, and it still kind of makes me mad that you wouldn't put your face there. I was like,
I mean, you just gotta scroll one over. I'm making you work for it.
I know, but to get people to come to the page, you got to see the face. It's like,
That's
ooh.
fair. That's fair.
I didn't know he's there too. It's just this. I just see a lot of
Just
this
this
dude
random
gulping down
beer?
beers.
Right.
I didn't know there was this other guy with beautiful. It is just the lighting was so good too. The
That's
lighting
true.
on your face was thousands of times better than the lighting on that beer.
That's why we gotta record during the day, I guess, before it's dark out and it gets dark
Anyway,
here.
please
like
give me an
4:30.
example. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So you're good. So an example would be like, let's use Brad as an example because because Brad's a great guy and I feel like he's a
Oh
good
my
one
God.
to use an example. So maybe you are you're gonna go do something with Brad, right? And Brad suggests X, Y, and Z, and then he changes his mind, and he keeps changing his mind, and he's getting on your nerves, and you go, Brad, do you have an extra wheel right now?
Are you like trying to get on my nerves or something?
No, I guess that was a shitty example. It's basically to have a screw loose,
Oh, okay.
to be
Okay.
crazy. Have a screw loose.
Okay. Yeah, that was a terrible example. You're
Yeah,
right.
that was
maybe
horrible.
you're right. You should have. I take that back.
See, there you go.
You were actually selling yourself a little too much with by giving the disclaimer. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Anyway, my next
You're
one
good.
is low bang. Oh, sorry. First, it's actually English. It's Singapore English, or what they
Oh, nice.
sometimes
Okay.
call Singlish. So there is inspiration from, I believe, Mandarin and other Chinese languages,
Mm-hmm.
and but the main language in Singapore is English. And so this untranslatable is low bang, king or queen, and low bang literally means opportunity or chance.
Okay. Opportunity or chance?
Yes. Roughly, by the way. This is not a direct translation because I believe it might be kind of a slangy term. And it has a couple different meanings I've heard. Because I also saw somewhere else that it means a-hole in a
Really?
in a
Okay,
different
interesting.
in a different language, but a different. I don't remember what the other language was, but I also remember the other language was a language related to Chinese, I believe, maybe like Malaysian or something like that. Or
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what it was. See, now I'm just talking out of my ass, but. Just go back to what I said. Lo bang essentially means opportunity or chance.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. So, say the new iPhone comes out, and I want to be the first one to get it, and I'm talking to you, and I'm like, man, Chad, I wanted to get this new iPhone XSR Q10, but they're sold out, man. And you're like, dude, no, I can get you a new one. It's like it's like I know a guy, and I'm like, damn, Chad, you are the low bang king. Thank you, and you hook me up with that iPhone.
So you're like the hookup. You're like the main man, right?
Yeah, it's like the go-to guy or like the hookup for stuff.
I like that. Okay.
Apparently
That makes sense.
there is a Singaporean comedy drama called Low Bang King that aired on Channel 8 in 2003, but I couldn't find much about it on Google.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very
But yeah,
interesting.
it's like you're the hookup or the go-to guy.
Right. Okay. Nice. Well, the last one I have for you this is kind of a special Czech one because this idiom has its origin in the North Bohemian mining regions, which is where I live. Mm-hmm. So kind of a special one.
Of course.
And it is, this one isn't as common, but it is common or used to be common in northern Bohemia where I live. And it is kape muna carbide, which means it's dripping on his carbide.
Carbide. What isn't that like a?
I think it's
Chemical?
like a mining. Yeah.
Because carbide is like, isn't it like carbon? Two carbons would be carbide.
The
C2?
carbide is what people use to light their lamps in the coal mines in the past.
Okay.
That's what it is.
I love that's. Oh yeah, of course they'd use coal-powered lamps if you're in a coal mine.
Right.
Oh, sorry. What's the translation again?
It's dripping on his carbide.
Like getting on my nerves.
Yeah, more or less. This is also basically to be
Or it's
crazy.
like annoying someone. Oh, okay. Be crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. Slipping on gator piss, which means everything.
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
I have one more,
Nice.
and it's Hebrew, and it's Shaval al Hazman, and it's shame on the time.
Shame on the time. Do you like say that when you're like sad you have to leave?
No, it's actually a positive thing.
It's a positive thing. Shame on the time. Is that like time flies when you're having fun?
No. I'll explain this one because this one's kind of weird. Not weird. It's not weird, but it's just not something that us English speakers would immediately catch on to.
Right.
But it's an exclamation of how awesome something is.
Cool. Okay.
How perfectly suited for when you're talking about something incredible to happen. And there's an example that they give that I think is better than any example I would have given. Let's say someone asks you, how was the party? If the party was amazing, then an appropriate response would be, it was Shaval al Hazman. So I feel like it's
time.
I think it's like it's almost so good that you're like, it was a shame that time existed.
Right. That makes sense. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I like that one too. I wish, man, that's one I wish that we had, because you can't really say in English it was a shame time existed, because it probably just doesn't flow as well as if you were to say Shavala Hazman, because it is an idiom.
Right.
But I do like that one. It's like,
I like the way you say that. Rolls off your tongue pretty good.
Oh, thanks. I mean, if someone that actually heard Hebrew heard it, they'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
What did you say?
I think that half the time when I speak Czech here.
I do that. I think that when I do every single untranslatable, even the ones in German, sometimes even the ones in English.
I think still, though, my favorite ones to hear from you are when you do Italian and Afrikaans.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done Afrikaans ones in a while because I can't find just list upon list like you do somehow.
Right.
I don't know how you do it.
I got my ways. If I told you, though, you'd know all my secrets.
Maybe I need to start buying some crystals or something, or finding some rituals that'll bring me some more luck. And maybe if I do that, then I'll have better chances of good things coming to me in the future.
That's true.
Putting out those good vibes. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've said it on our podcast before. I'm a firm believer that if you put good vibes out into the universe, good vibes will come back to you.
I agree with that in a sense, but where does that cross? Like, I don't know if I consider that superstition, but I think there's a natural thing in life where you tend to get treated how you treat people.
Yeah,
I think that's a very natural, process, almost Darwinian in a sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a superstitious thing. And I'm sure there are a lot of superstitions that people can add to that, almost like adding a turbocharger to your naturally aspirated car to add some more juice to that. I'm sure you could turbocharge that with some superstition to make it seem like you're being a better person or making steps to ensure that you're a good person. But I think there is a natural process to flow to life that involves people just obviously. Good people die. Why? In the words of Sheen from Jimmy Neutron. Hold on, I gotta back away from the. Why must the good die young? That happens, but I think in general people get what they. But there is a line where that can cross into superstition for sure. And then on the other end of that, I would say this is a question I've had too. Mm-hmm. Where does superstition then turn into OCD, just obsessive compulsive behavior?
Right. Well, I would say the difference between superstition and OCD would be that I feel like superstition's not quite as... It's rigid, but it's not the same as OCD. Like, at least the people I know who have, bad OCD, they need to have 2 of everything. They need to, make sure, they lock the door twice. Yeah.
Right. I think I would agree with you on that, too. And I think the way I would say it is it's more ritual-based than superstition is. I think superstition is more if this happens, this could happen.
I wouldn't even say ritual-based. I would say maybe it's OCD is more methodological.
Methodical.
Or thank you, methodical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have made the same mistake if you had instead of first, but I had time to think about it.
Right. Yeah. So I was thinking it might be good to first talk about some superstitions in the United States, just because we grew up with them and knew them.
And now I know I realize I've been talking a lot, but can I start because I actually went to a source, local source. My family's from the South. Mm-hmm. I grew up hearing about weird superstitions all the time. So I texted my mom and I asked her about superstitions that she used to hear from her family. She thought of some that she knew. She asked her mom, who is about to turn, I just realized, about to turn 100. My grandma is about to turn 100 in February.
Shout out.
And yeah, we'll do that, I guess, once if we get there. She's kicking though. She seems to be doing fine.
That's awesome.
But anyway, and then she also asked one of her brothers, who's a little bit older than her, maybe in his early 70s or something. So can I give you some that she heard a lot of back in the day?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to hear these.
If a person is sweeping with a broom, and they sweep your feet in the process, that's bad luck.
Okay.
And that actually, my mom told me this one, but during my own research, I found out that has Caribbean roots, which makes sense. She grew up in Louisiana. There's a lot of Caribbean influence in Louisiana.
Right.
And so don't sweep over people's feet with a broom. That's bad luck. Obviously, there's the black cat. Do you know the origin of the black cat?
Okay. Well, I've heard, and I'm not sure which country this was, but they say that if a black cat crosses your path and walks with you, it's good luck. But if they cross your path and keep going away from you, then it's bad luck.
Okay, maybe it's just the correlation between black and like death and hunt, which I hate. That's. I mean, it's been so ingrained in society, but I hate that black has to be like all these terrible things, and white is light and good and happiness.
But that's not true in every culture. Actually, in China and maybe also Japan, they actually wear white to funerals.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Same in India, which we talked about. Go back to Death Across Cultures. I don't remember what episode that is. If you point at a graveyard, your finger will rot off.
What? Oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. As a guitar player and you as a pianist, that's terrifying.
And me as a human.
Right.
Me and my sister used to, and I just got this from my sister, but we used to have the superstition that whenever you're driving past a cemetery, you hold your breath until you get to the next speed limit sign. And I didn't know why. I just did it because my sister told me to, and she was older than me.
Right.
And she said if I don't, I'm going to die or some crazy
Interesting.
shit.
I've never heard that one. Okay, that's a good one.
I don't know where she heard it from either. Maybe she heard that graveyard one from my family and kind of adopted her own. Who knows? If you walk under a ladder, that's bad luck. That's kind of a standard one.
Do you know why?
I do, which is crazy.
Can you tell?
I didn't realize why. Well, because it has biblical originations, and it said that origins, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's in Christianity, there's the Holy Trinity, which forms the triangle, and it said that the ladder is forming the Holy Trinity. And I assume what? I don't know if you're interrupting their conversation, but it's essentially like say the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are on the street having a conversation, and some asshole, instead of walking around them when there's plenty of space on the sidewalk, just cuts right through the conversation. I believe you're doing that with Jesus and his friends if you walk under a ladder. Is that what you heard? I mean, obviously I joked about it, but I heard that
I've heard
has
something
originations from the Holy Trinity and biblical. What'd you hear?
I have heard that, I didn't hear, Google told me, that it actually has to do with when they used to have public executions.
Oh, I heard that too.
People would take a ladder to go up to the gallows. So it's considered bad luck.
I heard that one too. But the one I heard more was the other one. But I did hear that one too.
Right.
No, excuse me, not the one I heard more. That's not even true. Just the one that was more amusing to me, to be honest with you.
Right.
If two or more people are walking together and they split a pole, which means one person walks on one side of the pole, one person walks on the other, bad luck. I don't know what bad luck is. It's generic bad luck. Okay. And then obviously don't break a mirror. That means X number of years of bad luck. My mom just put X number of years. She's like, who cares?
Okay. I think it's supposed to be 7.
Yeah, I think so too. If you step over someone lying on the floor, they won't grow.
They actually have that, I think, in Turkey. You aren't supposed to jump like over a child, or they will be short for the rest of their lives.
Interesting. See, it's interesting to also wonder where like my parents' family gets these from. Because, like, for example, some of them make sense, like that, Caribbean. That kind of makes sense.
Right.
But, like,
the broom one, right?
It's interesting to wonder, at least to me, to figure out, which I don't know, but I would like to know. Which I forgot to mention our contact, but since I forgot to, I'll do it twice in the middle. Untranslatable 1, Twitter, Untranslatable Podcast, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Explain to us, where some of these originate from and why, and how they make their way from, say, Turkey to my mom in Louisiana.
Right. Especially
and
the ones
some of those could travel.
Exactly. Especially the ones from foreign countries that we don't really know so much about. That would be great.
This last one's my favorite. I mean, I have more, but this last one from my mom specifically is my favorite. If your feet itch, someone's going to die. That's it. That's just
Really? Okay. I think it was either India or maybe even Turkey again. If you have an itch by your hand, the right hand is good luck, and you and me are both lefties, and apparently if you have an itch at the left hand, it's bad luck.
Well, that's another Caribbean one. Also one my mom told me about as well. There's that. I have one more, I guess, that my mom told me was that one, which is also a Caribbean roots, and it's that if you're, and this one makes me mad too as a left-handed person. Oh, you're left-handed too, aren't you?
Yeah, yes, we are.
If you have an itch in your right hand, that's let me just check to make sure I got the hands right because it's down a little bit more. No, I take the. Oh yeah, no, I'm right. Yeah, if you have an itch in your right hand, it means you have good luck coming, and you're gonna have money. It's usually monetary based, so it means you're gonna have money coming your way soon. If you have an itch in your left hand, it means you either owe people money or you will owe people money. Oh, and here's my thing with that. That sounds so like psychosomatic. That sounds so. It just sounds like it sounds very placebo based almost. Right. Where it's like that could easily be like you could easily if a person believes this, and I firmly believe what I'm about to say. If a person believes this superstition, then your hand will itch. It will.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Your hand will 100% itch, and it's not even fake itching. Your hand will itch if you firmly believe that happens. Then it will happen, especially something like that. That'll definitely happen.
Oh, for sure.
And so, I can imagine that superstition easily continuing on because someone would be like, "No, I swear to God, I felt it." It's like, of course you did, because you wanted to, and or you knew you were going to owe money, or you knew that you're going to have a big payday coming.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree. I'm trying to think if there are any other superstitions. Obviously, the black cat, the broken ladder.
Do you consider yourself a superstitious person?
I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious.
Oh my God.
That was an Office reference for all of our non-Office fan listeners out there. I don't know. I mean, not really. When I was younger, though, of course, I avoided cracks in the sidewalk like the plague. Because as the saying goes,
a good son.
That's right. As the saying goes, step on a crack, break your mother's back.
Well, is that really the saying? I've never heard it ever used with the word mother. I've only ever heard mama.
Oh, that's true. Break your mama's back.
My entire
that's
family's
true.
from the South, so
okay, fair enough.
So
I would avoid those
in general.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I kind of agree with you in that sense. I hate that phrase just because I hear it all the time, and I'm like, right, I get it. But I agree with you. Where it's like, I'm not a superstitious person, but I'm also like not out there tempting fate. You know, like if there's a ladder, I'm not going to purposely walk under it. It's like, I can just as easily walk around it. There's no
right.
There's also one that I find interesting that, especially as someone like me that likes to make terrible jokes, is joking about like people dying or like cancer or something like that. How do you feel about that? Or it's like people joking about someone getting cancer, or you're like, don't do that. Like then you're putting that out there in the air.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
I'm like that. So I guess that is a little superstitious.
I don't know if I'm like that. I don't know if I see that happening, but I do kind of get hesitant with that joke. But maybe it's just more because I know a lot of people feel that way, where it's like, well, it's not going to be funny because you know you're just going to be scaring people, you know?
Right. Oh, for sure.
And so maybe that's more why I might feel that way. But I don't think that has any direct correlation. But I do. But it's also the same thing where it's like much like not walking under a ladder if you don't have to. It's like, well, why put that out there? It's like it's not even necessary.
Exactly. I agree. I'd like to also talk about one or two good luck superstitions we have in the States. One, obviously, the 4-leaf clover. If you find one, that's supposed to bring you good luck.
I wonder if they have it in Ireland as well.
I would think that might be where it originated, but I could be wrong.
It's a St. Patrick's Day thing.
Right. And the other one is if you find isn't it a penny heads up?
I believe
any
so.
coin.
I heard heads up when I was a kid from my mom, actually.
Right. And that's good luck.
Yeah. I mean, those are ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm.
The penny one especially, because that penny is disgusting. And pennies are essentially worthless at this point.
Right.
As far as having them goes. So those I kind of find ridiculous. And it's also interesting, like, where you draw, like, where lines are drawn. Like, well, why do I find that a 4-leaf clover or a penny being found ridiculous, yet I'm not going to joke about getting cancer, you know?
Right.
Like, where's that line? What's really the difference?
I think the difference is that when you're joking around about something like that, I feel like it's a little bit more personal, maybe. Whereas if you just find a 4-leaf clover or a penny somewhere, it's
like, well,
more
that just
random.
happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, you have to mentally think about it in order to say it. You know what I mean?
It's more likely to find a penny on the street than it is for me to have witnessed that car accident I witnessed, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's not actually. Car accidents happen a lot.
I don't know what the statistics are, but yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think, like I said at the top of the show, I'm just a firm believer of putting out good vibes, and if you put bad vibes out there, including like joking around about somebody dying or whatever, I feel like that's the superstitious thing about it is if you joke around about it and then it happens, you're kind of like, oh shit,
right.
Whereas like
then
if
you turn superstitious,
right? Exactly.
How do you feel about laid back vibes?
I love them. Jared's making a reference to my shirt. This is my relaxing shirt / podcasting shirt because it's important to have laid back vibes. But yeah,
this is the Untranslatable podcast. We don't just focus on us in the United States here. I obviously have some from around the world, some common superstitions in other countries.
Me too.
Hey Chad, what direction does your head face when you sleep?
Well, it depends where you are. Well, I see what you're saying. For me, right.
I was like, all right, well, where are you?
Right.
And what direction does your head face?
My head faces...
What do you mean? Do you not use north, south, east, west in the Czech Republic?
We don't. It's West here.
Is that not metric system? By the way, shout out to SpongeBob.
That's right.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think. I would assume it's... Oh man, my head is...
Well, let me start. Well, while you think about this, since I knew I was going to bring this one up, I checked.
Okay.
And my head faces north. And according to the Japanese, they say you should avoid sleeping with your head facing north. Guess why? Do you know why?
Because that's this one? I have, but you can explain it.
Well, according to the Japanese superstitions, that is the direction. Well, this is true. Dead bodies sleep with their head facing north. And so it's essentially, putting that bad dead person juju on you if you're sleeping like a dead person, I guess.
So my head faces west.
Okay, you're good. Mine is slightly northwest, but it's nearest makes no difference because it still shows up as north on the actual. But it is slightly northwest. It's not directly north, but it still would show up north in your car or on a simple compass.
Now that's the case for Japan. Mm-hmm. But then I believe it was either Nigeria. It doesn't say. It just says. So in Africa, there's a superstition.
Everyone?
I don't know. This is according to. Also, this is according to a website called Good Housekeeping. So I'm not sure how legit these superstition things are.
I just imagine some white housewife. Calling it Africa, saying in Africa they sleep with their head facing west.
Right.
Oh, do they?
Here they say you avoid sleeping with your head to the west in Africa.
Okay, same reason.
I don't know which countries. Yep, same superstition. So
Okay.
I guess they bury their dead going that way. Hmm.
Now, tell me about some German ones, because I know there are a couple
Okay.
big no-nos.
Well, I guess the first big no-no, and I learned this the hard way, was I had a German exchange student in my high school, and his birthday was on Saturday, and he said, "Yeah, I'll have my birthday tomorrow." And I go, "Oh, well, happy birthday on Friday."
Ooh, don't do that.
And that's a big no-no. And apparently also in Russia, you shouldn't wish someone a happy birthday the day before their birthday arrives.
I felt some type of way bringing up that my grandma was. It's so funny. I honestly felt a little hesitant bringing up that my grandma was turning 100 in February, because it's like, I mean, she, as I said, she's in good health, but it's like at that age you never know. It's like
Right.
And so there was a little part of me that's like, I don't even want to say anything because I'm putting that out there, and I was like, I didn't even realize that was a little bit of superstition until
For sure.
Or it's
But
like,
that's,
let's
I
just
think,
wait
the
until we
biggest
get
one
there
in
before I mention that.
Right.
And then another one is do not cheers with water.
Yep.
Which I believe I might have learned the hard way when I was in Germany. Maybe not the hard way, but I think someone mentioned that to me in Germany. And apparently that's you're wishing death upon someone. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other ones?
I have, well, one that's kind of a funny good luck one is that
None of mine are good luck.
that the Germans have this thing called a Glücksschwein, or a luck pig, and it's usually these cute little pig figurines.
That's what we called your mother.
But yeah, you don't want to toast with water.
Oh, so they carry them around? These?
No, I think I don't know. They might just give them to children.
That.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, if you're, let me do some quick little Googling here.
While you're doing some Googling, there's one in the Philippines that I have a problem with.
Okay.
And what they have a superstition not to go home right after funerals. Mm-hmm. They say, and if in Filipino tradition called pagpag maybe, dictates that people never go straight back to the house after a wake. Otherwise, a bad spirit might tag along and come inside. Mourners will make a stop at a restaurant or store first, just in case. And I have a problem with that. Oh, so you're just going to pass that spirit on to some other unsuspecting bystander at the store? Where it's like, let me shake this bad spirit off of me and pass it on to some guy that's just going to get a nice lunch.
But my question is, does it pass the spirit on to other people, or does it just get rid of the spirit?
What, you think it's just going to the spirit only has like a range outside of the like it starts to get confused if it's too far away from the cemetery without its host?
No, I feel like the difference is
Where
just
am I?
I feel like the
I'm just gonna
difference
stick with
is
this
like
guy forever.
the location of it. So if you go back home, you'll have those evil spirits in your house, right?
Yeah, but now they're just floating around Whole Foods.
Yeah, well.
Why is this milk going prematurely bad?
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bezos.
Right. But yeah, so anyways, also the lucky pigs, yeah, they're just these little ceramic pigs that I think people might just like have at their home.
Okay, you put on your mantle somewhere or something like that.
Exactly.
Oh, here's my Glücksschwein.
That's right.
Jesus Christ. Whenever I do any sort of accent, I have like a deep regret as I'm doing it. Lithuania, don't whistle indoors. And you're inviting evil inside. Also, don't whistle indoors because you're just a dick. I mean, I guess I whistle. I have no problem whistling doors if I'm home alone. Mm-hmm. But like people that whistle inside are the worst.
Right. For sure.
It's also kind of it's also whistling indoors has that kind of creepy movie vibe to it if you get the right whistle.
That's also true. You're not wrong.
I got one from... It's either creepy or annoying.
Right.
Cut it out.
I got one from Mexico.
Okay.
Where you don't place two mirrors opposite of each other or across from each other.
I love that.
It's a doorway for the devil, apparently.
My parents had a bathroom in one of our old houses that had individual sinks, and they were across from each other. So it had it had that infinite mirror setup, and it was so cool. It's so cool to look at. But that one, it obviously I was gonna say it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It does. None of these make sense really. It makes sense in the sense where it's like I can understand where you would think that like where it's like you're opening the portal, like some portal that is really not not natural, and it goes down. It's just that if you get the right angle, you can see just the infiniteness of that back-to-back mirror thing.
Right. Which is kind of creepy.
Yeah. It's like sticking a microphone up to the speaker. You know, it's like that loop
you get that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this loop is not supposed to happen.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this infinite loop.
Exactly. But yeah, that one's pretty crazy. Another one that is kind of interesting is in Japan, you should never stick your chopsticks straight up. And do you know why this is, Jared?
Well, I don't know fully why it is, but I do know that at funerals on every table they'll have a bowl with a chopstick. I know it represents death, but I don't know why it represents death.
So I can tell you why. It's because the chopsticks, two chopsticks down like that, the utensils look like the unlucky number 4. Which this number is highly associated with death in a lot of different Asian cultures.
We'll get to numbers, but yes, you're right. Yeah.
And also, the chopsticks sticking straight up in your bowl also look kind of like the incense sticks used in Japanese funerals.
There is actually a lot of superstition and what's the word? Etiquette. There we go. Chopstick etiquette.
Right.
That I did not know about. Like, for example, you're not supposed to pass food chopstick to chopstick.
Okay.
You're not supposed to use your chopstick to move your bowl. You know, like stick it in there and push it with your. There's other ones.
I didn't know that.
But
okay.
I didn't know that either until I found that one that you just mentioned.
Okay.
But it was a whole list of chopstick etiquette. There's even more. Those are ones I remember at the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one I love. Did you know that in Syria? Do you know what I'm about to say?
Mm-mm.
In Syria, yo-yos are banned.
Oh, I did see that one. Yeah.
Since 1933, yo-yos have been banned. Because in 1933, now I'm a little confused on the drought. On the correlation. But in 1933, there was a drought. And there was some sort of correlation saying yo-yos were causing the drought. So 1933, 2018, 75, 85. 85 years later, yo-yos are still banned, and they will still be confiscated if someone is walking through the street with a yo-yo. Cops will take them away from you and throw them away.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yo-yos. And so there's a news story, which is kind of hard to read because it's obviously this happened in 1933.
Right.
But January 21st, drought and severe cold is disastrously affecting the cattle in Syria. And the Muslim chiefs at Damascus have attributed the wrath of the heavens to the recent introduction of the yo-yo. So these are very, this is a government and culture and country run off of religion, run off of Islam.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so they're literally seeing this as both a government-wide disaster and a full-on plague that's happening to them. That's how that's how they're interpreting it. They say that while the people are praying for rain to come down from above, the yo-yo goes down. And before reaching the ground, springs up through the subtle pull of the string. I love how they're explaining how a yo-yo works, almost as if you're reading it in a Bible or a Quran or something like that. The chiefs interviewed the prime minister and exposed the evil influence of yo-yos. So they were immediately banned. Today, so this was not in 1933 that this article came out, but it was a long time ago. I believe this might be from the 80s now that I think about it. Today, the police... I can't tell what that word is. Paraded the streets and confiscated the yo-yos from everyone they saw playing with them. So it's after 1933, but it's a long time ago that article came out. But yeah, still today, yo-yos are banned because they're afraid of. I mean, afraid. Who's not afraid of a drought? I guess, but they think that there's a correlation between yo-yos and droughts, which is hilarious to obviously me, who sees no correlation between the two.
Right. Yeah. Just depends on the culture you were raised in,
Yeah.
So I have two kind of interesting ones. Apparently in France, stepping in dog poop isn't necessarily bad. If you step in dog poop,
is it because they happen to smell better for a short period of time. Ooh, Jared is over here slipping on gator piss.
But apparently,
I have nothing against the French at all. I actually love French.
Right.
It's just so easy to shit on them.
Right. Yeah, if you step on dog poop with your left foot, it's good luck. Bad luck if you step on it with your right foot.
Well, I like that.
Right.
Shout out to the lefties.
Exactly. But the funny thing is that in Russia, it's also considered good luck if a bird poops on your car or poops on you.
Yeah,
that says that will bring good fortune. So kind of interesting.
That makes me so mad. It always seems to happen right after I wash my car too.
Right.
It's like, ooh, look at that. And I come out the next morning. It's like, all right.
Well,
just now I'm hoping it rains because I'm not washing my car again for a couple months.
Well, don't play with yo-yos, Jared, and then hopefully it'll rain on your car.
Right.
And then if you get the bird poop on there will be some wealth and prosperity coming your way.
Okay. So as you mentioned with number 4, there's a whole superstition to numbers in itself, numerology,
right.
and the whole influence of just about every number, to be honest with you. I'm going to focus on only 2 of them. There are 3 of them.
Okay.
But just about every number could probably, if you actually are deep enough into like the numerology game, you could probably find a meaning for every number.
Right.
But some of the big ones, we'll start with one unlucky is obviously 13.
Mm-hmm.
In Spain, apparently Tuesday the 13th, or was it Wednesday? Shit. See, I saw this, but I didn't actually write it down because I didn't think I'd bring it up. But here I am bringing it up. Either Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday the 13th in Spain, is their Friday the 13th.
Okay, interesting.
And so 13 is generally a very unlucky number in mostly I'd say in American and European cultures.
Right.
And it's called where is it? I thought I had this in my notes. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this makes me so mad. I'm sorry. I didn't copy it over.
I've also heard that if in some cultures, if you're born on the 13th, that is also considered really unlucky.
So then what? You're just screwed for the rest of your life?
I guess
F
so.
you.
I guess so.
I'm not accepting my life to go that way.
Right.
It's called here it is. It's called triskaidekaphobia, which is fear or avoidance of the number 13. Right. So are you familiar with hotels commonly omitting 13 from elevators?
I did not know that. No.
I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, I believe, right? And that was the first you'd heard of it?
Maybe, yeah, could be.
So yeah, it's common for elevator companies. Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, I have a this is mostly why I want to make sure I found this, because I had in my notes that Dilip Rangnikar of Otis Elevators. Otis Elevators is a huge elevator manufacturer. Yeah, I mean, obviously most people don't pay attention to their manufacturer of elevator when they're in it, but there are plenty of Otis Elevators if you actually pay a slight bit of attention. I don't. Mm-hmm. I just know that they're a big company. Estimated that 85% of the buildings with Otis brand elevators did not have a 13th floor.
Interesting. Okay.
Which I knew that there was the stereotype, but that was a surprise. That's the vast majority.
Right.
That was surprised that the number was that big.
Right. And also in Asian cultures, they avoid 4 on elevators.
Yep. That is tetraphobia. Tetra, number 4, Tetris.
Makes sense. Uh-huh.
4 in a row. The practice of avoiding instances or the number of 4. And so, do you know why that is? Do you know why they don't like 4?
Because it's close to the word for death.
Yes. So, and it's a very the language is very tonal. What language is this? Is this Japanese?
I think it's Japanese and also Chinese, Mandarin.
Is it both of them?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. They're both tonal languages, and so differences are more subtle and it's more based off a tone rather than what the actual word is.
Right.
So death in the number 4, depending on how you say it and how it's obviously used contextually, are very similar, and so it's unlucky, and so they tend to avoid phone numbers and addresses with the number 4. especially when they're combined with other numbers that change the meaning. So, example, 94 could be interpreted as being dead for a long time, and I think it's because 9 is very similar to the word time.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
And while in Mandarin-speaking regions in China, 14 and 74 are considered more unlucky than the individual number 4, since 14 sounds like once to die.
Oh, interesting.
And 74 sounds like will certainly die, or will die in anger, apparently.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
And in Hong Kong, some apartments, such as the Vista Paradiso, which is funny that's what they call, like it still has like this sort of, like the cheap luxury hotel name that you'd hear on like any sort of like I hear that kind of name all the time in Philly and like these areas that are getting gentrified and shit, like these sort of like fancy names. Anyway, they skip all floors from 40 to 49. It just goes 39, 50 in their building.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Makes sense, though. Don't some places also, I've heard that some hotels will avoid the number 666. Obviously, because that's the number of the devil.
Yeah, the sign of the devil.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny, too. Once again, it's funny to figure out where your like superstitions lie. Mm-hmm. And so me, as someone, as I mentioned, I was nervous to mention my grandma turning 100, but me, as someone that's not really a religious person, when I hear 666 or, that means nothing to me. And I joke about, like if I see it, I'll even joke. It's like, ooh, spooky. But I don't, I'm not actually like, uh-oh, here we go. Right. Like, that's the sign of the devil. It's just more of a joke to me at this point. And so it's just funny where those superstitions lie and where it's all, I guess it's all kind of ridiculous at the end of the day.
Right.
The world doesn't care about us at all. I think is an important thing to remember.
Yeah, I agree. What's pretty crazy is in Afghanistan, they also have a belief of the curse of 39. Have you heard about this?
No.
The number 39 is cursed or a badge of shame as it purportedly is linked with prostitution.
Huh. Why? Where does that come in? So is it like when someone turns 39 years old, they're like, "Oh, this is my unlucky year."
I'm not sure.
Like the terrible twos,
right? Maybe
for 39.
Maybe they say they're 38 plus 1, or maybe they just stay at 38. I don't know.
Yeah, just lie until they turn 40.
Oh, here you go. Some 39-year-old Afghans are said to refer to themselves as being one less than 40, or 1 year to 40. So there you go.
That's funny.
Ooh,
listen, I'm no prostitute.
Listen to this. During the 2010 parliamentary elections, one candidate, Mullah Tarakil, had the misfortune to be listed 39th on the ballot. 2 people were killed when his guards opened fire on civilians after a traffic accident, said to have been in reaction to people taunting the candidate over his number. So there you go, and people switch their cell phone numbers. Yeah, it's pretty
I don't even know what
crazy.
to say to that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wow.
Like, for example, there was one guy that had the number 39 in his phone number, and they said he receives a lot of anonymous calls asking if he has prostitutes. I'm known as Mr. 39 amongst my friends because of his phone number.
Having 39 in your phone number is like having a 734 area code in Metro Detroit. If it's not 313 or 248, GTFO.
Right. But yeah, so those are a couple different number ones. By the
way, that could not have been a more specific example.
Right.
Like 6 people will get.
Right. Oh, for
Actually,
sure.
probably more than 6. But anyway, not really. I mean, in Turkey, apparently it's unlucky to chew gum at night for some reason.
Yeah, they say you're chewing on the flesh of dead people, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it transforms in the flesh at night. I've been spending a lot of time talking about other podcasts this episode. One more. There was an episode, and this one I actually am going to do this guy credit because what he did was an amazing feat. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had on this British guy. I'll get his name in a second. Who swam. Ross Edgley swam around the Edgley of swam around the edge of Britain.
Okay.
Like around the entire thing.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And because he was in the salt water, there was a boat that was with him, so he would every now and again he would get out and eat meals inside the boat. But he said sometimes it was honestly better to eat in the water because you would move more just by the current moving you, even if you weren't even swimming, just the natural current moving you. Obviously depending on conditions. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because he was in the water for so long, he said he was starting to get things like trench foot and stuff like that.
What exactly is that?
Trench foot was something that became common during World War I, and it was a disease that people often got on their feet because they were in these trenches for years at a time, and the trenches would have puddles of water and pooling of water. So it would eventually be your feet would be just exposed to water, water and dirty water, but water in general for just ever. And so it would kind of your flesh would start your flesh would start to decay. Your feet, weaken your feet and your bones a little bit. And it's reversible. Obviously, even a little bit more now in 2018 rather than in 1914 or 1918. But anyway, he was also getting it kind of like in his tongue, and so his tongue in his mouth, pieces of his tongue would start to fall off, just because his tongue was so exposed to salt water. And this guy also ran a marathon pulling a goddamn Mini Cooper.
What? What?
Yeah,
Why?
you heard me. Because he's an insane man.
It seems like it.
He's got to be running away from something, right? Like like there's some darkness within him that he's running away from by doing all this stuff. But yeah, he's just a freak of a man. But I only bring that up to say that just thought of me. I just thought about that because chewing on flesh. He actually was chewing on his own flesh for a bit.
That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. So, what do you think owls have to do with superstition? Do you have any guesses?
I don't know. I mean, owls are an interesting creature because one, at least I know, mostly I assume because of Winnie the Pooh. In most sort of British and American cultures, they're seen as like wise animals,
Right.
But which is kind of, not that it's not foolish that they're wise because they are smart animals, but they're vicious creatures.
Oh yeah, they're killers.
Yeah, I mean, they're full-on predatory birds.
Right. And their talons are pretty scary looking.
Yeah. And so I don't know what they signify, but I do know that they are considered to be smart, like kind of in symbolism,
right?
And that they're actually vicious birds, but kind of majestic creatures. And their eyes, depending on the right owl, creep me the fuck out.
Right. Well, so what's crazy about owls is in Egyptian culture, they are considered to be a bad omen if you hear them at night. So something bad might happen. And
that's the only time you do hear them. Aren't they nocturnal?
Right. I think if you just
so if you just hear them, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it would be at night mostly. Okay, I got you.
And then in Italy, if an owl flies into your home, that means one of your family members will die soon.
Whew.
So that's pretty crazy.
Start pointing fingers in the household.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Don't sneeze at me. Get the fuck away from
me. Yeah, it's pretty crazy though.
By the way, if an owl's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I would say I'd be terrified if an owl flew into your house. How are you going to get that thing out of there?
Right. Yeah.
You can't just grab it. It'll attack you.
Right. I saw a guy one time getting an owl out of his house by using a broom, and he put the broom by the owl. The owl perched on the broom, and then he opened the window, or I think the window might have already been open. He stuck the broom out, and then like the owl flew away.
I think I remember that. Wasn't the owl making like weird noises at him too?
Yeah, I think so.
Like almost noises you wouldn't expect to hear from an owl because you expect that hoo-hoo, but it was like kind of hissing at it in some way.
Well, yeah, because they do hiss. Yeah, they do hiss.
When the owl clearly wasn't, thrilled.
Right, for sure.
As I mentioned before, though, I don't consider. It's funny that we laugh at these things because people believe these, but I'm to some extent no better because I believe, not that I believe any of these, but I'll take certain steps to be like, well, why do that? Why joke about that person getting cancer? Because even though it might be funny, it's not funny if someone's actually going to think they're going to get it.
Right, for sure. So, Jared, do you have any other superstitions you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have one more. If you do not listen to every episode of the Untranslatable podcast, someone in your family will die.
Oh, God. Putting out that bad juju, Jared. Be careful.
I mean, hey, it's easy. It's only 3 hours a week.
Right.
It's actually more like 4 hours a week now that I think about it. All right, it might be a little tough, but please. No, that's all I have.
All right. Well, I specifically try to search for a song that would be fitting towards today's theme or our topic. And the first thing that came to mind was Superstition, which was originally written by, I believe, Stevie Wonder, or at least he's the one that made it famous. But, we try to cover artists and musicians from around the world, not just America, the United States of America. So I found a really awesome cover by Sergio Mendes and Brazil 77 of Stevie Wonder's Superstitious.
Dude, this is by far one of the funkiest songs I've ever heard. Like, this song, and it's got every aspect of funk going. It's got like the perfect backup singers. It's got that funky bass line that yes, it's got that powerful backup of horns. This is straight up Gas Crisis, bell bottoms, quaaludes, jive turkey speaking 70s. Like this is the funk. Like, it was so funky. Like, you sent it to me the other day, and I was at work, and I was literally sitting there, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's great.
I was like, what? This is the funkiest shit. I feel like I should be like, I feel like I should be doing that, like, that dance where you do like the extension of your arm,
your arm
do
goes back and forth.
Yeah, do the
That's
hustle.
disco, though, isn't it?
Isn't that funk?
Move?
Isn't that all 70s? Like, isn't that not all the same? But isn't that all from a similar era, though? Like,
I mean, from a similar era, but I feel like
it's straight up
styles.
disco. Maybe, but it is straight. Yeah, all right, maybe. But I'm saying, I guess more what I'm getting at, it is clearly out of the 70s. Like, I felt like I was watching Shaft, or like one of those black exploitation movies.
Right.
Cleopatra Brown or something like that. I loved it, and it was. I mean, obviously, most people are very.
Violin in it as well.
Yes, it does, which is also very. I didn't realize that until you just mentioned that, but that is also very characteristic of those like super funky sort of songs. And obviously, most people know "Superstition" by Stevie Wonder. I mean, that's about as famous as a song can be as far as songs go. But Sergio Mendes, he's a legend in his own right.
Oh, for sure.
Put a great twist on it with his band.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I remember I first heard of Sergio Mendes from when he did a song with the Black Eyed Peas.
Well, they sampled his song.
Oh, that's right. But he was like also featured on it.
Right.
They sampled it and he was featured on it.
Right. Yeah, that was the big one.
That's a good point. I didn't even realize that until much later. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know that when it first came out.
And a lot of that
12.
music is just awesome. Like, he's done Beatles covers, all sorts of great stuff.
I didn't know. I always saw him as like a bossa nova-y kind of like jazzy guy. I didn't know he had that level of funk in him.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, granted, once again, I only really all of this is also coming from a song. That one song that the Black Eyed Peas repopularized because they
Más que nada.
Yeah. But so I always just pictured him as more of a jazzy bossa nova guy, and I was like, "This is Sergio Mendes." I was like, "This shit is the funkiest of funk."
It's good.
So clearly, I love it. I've been saying the same thing over and over again, but good choice, man, and obviously very fitting for it. Did we say Sergio Mendes is from Brazil? By the way, I don't know if we ever even mentioned that.
Brazil. That's right.
Yeah, which we've got a lot of Brazil recently, but they've got a rich musical culture over there. It's a giant country, a lot of culture, a lot of variation in culture there too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So for all of our listeners out there, check out our song of the pod, Superstition by Sergio Mendes and the Brazil 77. Now we're going to switch gears.
You jive turkeys.
That's right. We're going to switch gears, and I have a Czech word of the pod for you all, and for you as well, Jared. And the word is prosinec. Any idea what that means?
I remember you used to have a Czech word of the pod that was prosím.
Yep, it's not.
I don't remember.
Prosím. Prosím is please, or you're welcome.
Okay, because I was wondering if that prefix had any similarity.
I don't
But if it's just
so.
please, then I'd assume not. I mean, I don't know the language.
Right.
But I don't remember what prosím was. I just remember you did say that one. I mean, hey, even though I don't remember what it was, I'm still kind of impressed that I remembered that word pretty well.
Yeah. So
prosonets.
Any guesses?
Can you give me a clue?
I'm trying to think of a clue.
You can.
I'm trying to think of a clue. Well, I think any clue I'll give you will be a pretty dead giveaway.
Slipping on gator piss.
It's
after that last clue.
It's a month in the year.
Oh, December?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Prosinets is December. Since it is now December, I figured it would be cool to have that be our Czech word of the pod for today.
Do you know? Can you go through the months?
Oh, you're really going to do this to me?
I would not.
I can tell you October, November, December.
Okay, because I will not fault you for not knowing it. That is,
right.
It's tough.
I'm pretty sure October. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Říjen. Listopad is November, and obviously Prosinec is December.
See, that's the thing, is there's no relation to English there.
Right.
So
right.
I spent a lot of time learning French and German, and both of those languages, most of the months sound very similar to,
right,
or are derivations of one another.
Right.
And so those are way easier to learn.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
But you're learning whole new sounds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. New sounds, completely different words with no related etymologies with English. Yeah.
Right.
It's way different. So yeah, usually when I see a new Czech word, it's kind of just a shot in the dark. Sometimes based on context, I can guess it, but usually it's just a shot in the dark.
Well, hey, I like that you're taking those shots in the dark. I remember when you first got there and you were talking about how you hated having to speak, having to go places where you might have to speak.
Right. Yeah. And now I try. But yeah. Anyways, I got 2 original jokes for you.
Oh, yes, my favorite.
So here we go. What can be worse bad luck than breaking a mirror?
Looking in one.
Oh, that might even be a better punchline than mine. But what can be worse bad luck than breaking a mirror? Breaking a condom.
Yours is better. Yours is better. Mine's like a good roast joke, but yours is actually a good. Yours is a good joke,
right? I should have maybe said something like, "What can give you a longer time of bad luck than 7 years?"
No.
No, you think it's good as it is?
I like your idea of incorporating 7 years in there,
right.
But it's too wordy already. It was already getting too wordy. I like that it's just to the point.
Right.
All right. And everyone knows that breaking a condom's unlucky no matter for how long.
Right. For sure.
Even if they're not pregnant, it's still like, oh, fuck.
Oh, it's really scary. Absolutely. All right. So my last original for you is, what did the Italian man say after the owl flew into his house?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, no. Who will die in my family now?
I don't know if I fully get that. What do you mean?
This was a reference to, in Italy, it's a superstition that if an owl flies into your house, a family member will die. Then owls go who? So that was
okay.
That was my train of thought on that bad
If
one.
it was my household, the saying would be
"Meni fregista."
Hope it's me. No,
right.
I'm kidding. That's terrible. That's a real dark joke.
That's true. That is true. Well, Jared, I think it's time to give our listeners a little quote of the pod. And I have one today from Judith Vorst, who is an American writer and newspaper journalist.
Who dat?
And also a psychoanalyst researcher. And she's also very well known for humorous observational poetry and for children's literature.
I've never heard that combination before. Humorous observational poetry.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Anyways.
Okay.
So this quote from Judith Vorst is, "Superstition is foolish, childish, primitive, and irrational, but how much does it cost you to knock on wood?"
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah, me too.
Or it's like everything in my head and everything I've learned has taught me that there's no rationality to believing in anything superstitious, because that's not how the world works.
Right.
And even if there is like a higher power, do you think this higher power is just playing games with you, just fucking with you like that.
Right.
But it's like, well, it also doesn't hurt not to do that.
Exactly. I thought that quote would be a good encapsulation of.
And that's what I'm saying. It can't hurt not to listen to the Untranslatable. I'm not saying
That's
you will
true.
die, but I'm also saying it can't hurt not to.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Is that a risk you're really willing to take?
That's true. Well, speaking of listening to the Untranslatable podcast, we would like to thank you all for your support and listening to our podcast, following us on Instagram. And if you haven't yet, please follow us at Untranslatable Podcast. You can check out Jared's hilarious tweets at Untranslatable1 on Twitter. Also, shoot us an email with any of your untranslatables. We also want to know if there is an English untranslatable for, what was it? If your butt is infected.
Oh, sorry, let me scroll back up and see. Hold on. Trying to cure someone else when you have an infected butthole. Upon gant Hawaii du said ke kad dawai.
So let us know if you can think of any English translatables or English phrases that relate to that.
Untranslatables, but yeah.
Yeah. They know what I mean.
Here.
Exactly. But yeah, we would love to hear from you. Please send us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or email us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. So now we hope we can bring you all some good luck by enlightening you on some of these interesting superstitions around the world. So we thank you, and until next time.